Polar bear. Polar bears are classified as predatory mammals and are closely related to brown bears. They are the largest land carnivores on Earth, inhabiting the polar regions of our planet. This mighty predator is truly enormous. Adult males can reach up to 3 meters, 10 feet, in length and weigh as much as 1 metric ton, 2,200 pounds. On average, polar bears measure about 2.5 meters, 8 feet, long and weigh up to 800 kilograms, 1,760 pounds. At the shoulders, adults stand nearly 1.5 meters, 5 feet, tall. Females are much smaller, rarely exceeding 250 kilograms, 550 pounds, in weight. The smallest polar bears are found on the Svalbard archipelago, while the largest specimens inhabit the Bering Sea region. Fun fact: a polar bear is almost impossible to confuse with any other animal, thanks to its distinctive appearance. A pure white coat, long neck, and flat, narrow head. The color of its fur can vary throughout the year, from bright white in winter to a yellowish tint in summer, caused by sun exposure. Interestingly, the fur of polar bears contains no pigment at all. Each hair is hollow, allowing it to filter ultraviolet light, which contributes to the fur's remarkable thermal insulation properties. Even the soles of their paws are covered with fur, helping them walk confidently on slippery ice. Their toes are connected by small webbing, allowing the bears to swim efficiently and move easily through water. The claws are large, curved, and extremely strong, enabling polar bears to take down even very large prey. Extinct subspecies. Once, there existed another subspecies of polar bear, closely related to the modern species but much larger in size. Adult individuals of this extinct bear could reach up to 4 meters, 13 feet, in length and weighed well over 1 metric ton. Information about this ancient giant comes from fossil remains discovered in Pleistocene deposits in England. Among the finds was a fragment of an ulna, forearm bone, later confirmed to belong to this gigantic polar bear. Judging by its anatomical characteristics, the animal was well adapted to hunting large mammals, similar to itself in size. As for its extinction, scientists believe that the main cause was a shortage of food. Large predators require a tremendous amount of energy to survive, and when prey became scarce, the biggest hunters were the first to disappear, or so most experts agree. Habitat. The natural habitat of the polar bear includes the northern coastlines of continents and the southern edges of drifting ice flows, where cold Arctic waters meet the warmer currents of surrounding seas and oceans. The species distribution covers 4 distinct habitat zones. Areas of permanent habitation. Regions of mass seasonal presence. Denning sites for pregnant females. Southern boundary zones, occasionally reached by wandering bears. Polar bears are found throughout the Arctic Ocean's coastline, with the largest populations concentrated along the continental slopes of the ocean. Pregnant females typically build their maternity dens in the following regions: northwestern and northeastern Greenland, northern Svalbard, Spitsbergen, northern Novaya Zemlya, western Franz Josef Land, small islands of the Kara Sea, Severnaya Zemlya, Taimyr Peninsula, northern and northeastern coasts, Medvezhye Islands in eastern Siberia and the Lena River Delta, coasts and nearby islands of the Chukchi Peninsula, Wrangel Island, southern part of Banks Island, coasts of the Simpson Peninsula, northeastern shores of Baffin Island and Southampton Island. Dens have even been recorded on pack ice in the Beaufort Sea. In early spring, polar bears occasionally migrate long distances, appearing as far away as Iceland, Scandinavia, Anadyr Bay, Kamchatka, and even the Canaan Peninsula. Some individuals have been sighted as far south as the Sea of Okhotsk and the Sea of Japan. Diet. This large predator possesses an excellent sense of smell, hearing, and vision, which allows it to detect potential prey from several kilometers away. The diet of the polar bear largely depends on its habitat conditions and the capabilities of its body. The species is highly adapted to life in the extreme cold of the Arctic and feels perfectly at home in icy polar waters. For this reason, the main part of its diet consists of marine animals native to these same frigid regions. In addition to marine mammals, polar bears will also eat fish, bird eggs, chicks, young animals, and even carcasses of fish or other creatures washed ashore by the waves. Under certain conditions, their diet can become opportunistic, and in rare cases, polar bears may feed on the remains of their own kind. They occasionally supplement their diet with berries, moss, and other vegetation when available. However, changing climatic conditions in recent years have made survival more difficult for polar bears and their prey alike, forcing these predators to hunt more frequently on land. Lifestyle. Polar bears undertake seasonal migrations that correspond to the shifting extent of northern sea ice throughout the year. During the summer months, they move closer to the North Pole, while in winter they retreat southward, sometimes even reaching continental regions. Interesting fact. In winter, polar bears seek shelter in dens, usually located on the mainland or nearby islands, often no more than 50 meters, 160 feet, from the water's edge. Most bears spend their time along coastlines or on drifting ice floes. A polar bear can sleep for 2 to 3 months during this period, though only females, especially pregnant ones, hibernate regularly. Males and younger bears may rest for shorter periods, but they do not enter true hibernation and often remain active throughout the winter. Despite their apparently slow and lumbering movements on land, polar bears are in fact agile and fast, both on ice and in the water. It is a dangerous misconception to think one could escape a charging bear. It can easily outrun a human over short distances. The bear's dense, water-repellent fur provides excellent insulation, while a subcutaneous fat layer up to 10 centimeters, 4 inches, thick helps it withstand the Arctic cold. Its white coat makes the animal nearly invisible against the backdrop of snow and ice, providing perfect camouflage for an apex predator of the polar world. Reproduction process. Nature has allotted about 1 month each year for the reproduction of polar bears. The mating season begins in mid-March, during which males and females can often be seen moving together in pairs rather than alone. Sometimes, however, several males may follow a single female, competing for the opportunity to mate. The mating period generally lasts around 2 weeks. Pregnancy. After mating, the fertilized female carries her offspring for approximately 8 months. During the early stages of pregnancy, it is almost impossible to distinguish a pregnant female from one that is not. However, about 2 months before giving birth, she becomes irritable, sluggish, and spends much of her time lying on her stomach. During this time, her appetite sharply decreases. Typically, a female gives birth to 2 cubs, though first-time mothers usually have only 1. A pregnant polar bear spends the entire winter in her den, which she builds as close as possible to the seashore. Birth and development of cubs. When the cubs are born, they are unable to maintain their body heat, so the mother lies curled around them on her side, keeping them between her forelegs and chest, and warming them further with her breath. At birth, polar bear cubs weigh no more than 1 kilogram, about 2.2 pounds, and measure around 25 centimeters, 10 inches, in length. They are born blind, and only after about 6 weeks do they begin to see. By the time the cubs are 1 month old, the mother nurses them in a sitting position. In March, females emerge from their dens, often accompanied by their young. During the day, the cubs play and explore with their mother, but return to the den each night for shelter. They enjoy rolling and playing in the snow, gradually becoming stronger and more coordinated. Interesting fact. It is estimated that up to 30% of polar bear cubs and around 15% of young, immature bears die before reaching adulthood, which has a significant impact on the overall population of the species. Natural enemies. Such a large predator as the polar bear has virtually no natural enemies. However, killer whales and the Greenland shark, also known as the polar shark, may pose some danger, especially to younger or weakened individuals. Most adult bears die as a result of injuries sustained during fights with other bears or while hunting large walruses, which are capable of piercing the bear's body with their tusks. Starvation is also a frequent cause of death, particularly during years when sea ice retreats too far and hunting becomes difficult. The most dangerous enemy of the polar bear, however, is humankind. For centuries, indigenous peoples of the Arctic, such as the Inuit, Chukchi, and Nenets, have hunted polar bears, and some still continue to do so today. In addition, human industrial activity has had a devastating impact on the species' population. During the height of commercial hunting, hundreds of polar bears could be killed in a single season. More than half a century ago, polar bear hunting was officially banned, and in 1965, the species was listed as threatened with extinction. Danger to humans. There have been recorded cases of polar bears attacking humans, though these incidents are almost always the result of human intrusion into the animal's natural habitat. Such encounters are often mentioned in the journals and reports of polar explorers. For this reason, in regions where these predators may appear, people must move with extreme caution and take preventive measures to ensure that human settlements do not attract hungry bears, for example, by securely storing waste and food supplies. Conclusion. The polar bear is regarded not only as the largest predator on Earth, but also as one of the most beautiful and noble animals in the natural world. According to scientific estimates, there are currently just over 30,000 individuals remaining in the wild, and that's based on the most optimistic forecasts. By 2050, their numbers could decrease by 1/3 if current trends continue. Several major factors contribute to this alarming decline. Poaching. Despite existing hunting bans and numerous conservation programs, poaching remains a serious problem. The main reason is the extraordinarily high price of polar bear pelts, especially on the black market. Because of this, many poachers ignore laws and protective measures, putting personal profit above the survival of the species and the future of Arctic wildlife. Global warming. According to climate research, the Arctic ice cover is melting at an accelerating rate. American scientists estimate that within the next decade, the area of Arctic sea ice, the natural habitat of polar bears, may shrink by almost 40%. Even now, the reduction is believed to be no less than 25%, although many experts consider these figures overly optimistic. As the ice disappears, the bears lose their hunting grounds, and their chances of survival drop dramatically. Environmental pollution. Pollution represents another global threat, spreading throughout the Arctic seas and coastal regions. This includes contamination by pesticides, radionuclides, fuel combustion products, heavy metals, petroleum, and lubricants, all direct results of human industrial activity. Since the polar bear is a long-lived species, its body accumulates toxic substances over many years, causing chronic harm to its health and reproductive system. If we look closely at these causes, it becomes clear that humanity has been recklessly invading nature, leaving behind a trail of destruction. The natural world suffers first, but humans are next in line. By destroying nature, we are, in essence, destroying ourselves. Here's the video. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next time.